Hello to you. I'm Jesse R. Johnson. This is part 5 of Islam, the only 1,405 years world war. Islam against the whole of humanity. World war against the total human race. This is what Muslims are about. This again is part 5. Share this video, please, and subscribe. Part 1 is from 623 AD to 632 AD. Part 2 is from 600s AD to the 800s AD. Part 3 is from the 900s AD to the 1200s AD. Part 4 is from the 1300s AD to the 1600s AD. Part 5, of which this is, Part 5 is from the 1700s AD to the 1900s AD. Part 6 is from the 2000 AD to 2025 AD. Number 1, the Quran was written 150 years after so-called Muhammad, who never existed, after he so-called died. Number 2, Al-Bukhari, 810 AD to 870 AD, 60 years, wrote the first hadith. He was the first hadith writer. Wrote his hadiths 830 to 846 AD, 200 years after the non-existent Muhammad died. Al-Daraqutni wrote his hadiths a maximum of 353 years after so-called Muhammad, who never existed, after he so-called died. The hadiths were written 200 to 353 years after so-called Muhammad, the Muslims' prophet, who it never happened. This is a false narrative interwoven into the true and real narrative of slaughter, genocide, killing, and everything else. Now, Islam and world conquest. The over 780 wars, battles of Muslims in 1,400 years to subdue humanity, 623 AD to 2025 AD. The raids, sieges, mass butcheries, mass genocides, mass murders, mass slaughters, tens of thousands of beheadings, battles, wars, large and small, invasions, offensive-only attacks, assassinations, expeditions, conquests, surges, campaigns, defeats, civil wars between Muslims themselves, revolts, massacres, disruptions, rebellions, sacks, robbery, taking and pillaging, and so on. Muslims have killed and slaughtered 270 million to 280 million humans over 1,400 years of time, the greatest amount of death caused by wars and slaughter there is against non-Muslims. The over 780 major wars and battles and over 200 minor wars and battles to subdue the whole of humanity over a 1,400 years time period, to force all humans to become Muslims and to accept the political ideology of Islam by force, sword, or death, starting with the slaughter, 80 to 120 rapes and more, mass murders, and 1,000 plus beheadings of Muhammad himself and his second, third, and fourth in command. Offensive attacks, never defensive. This is to force the human race to become Muslim. That's why it is offensive, never defensive. 1700 AD to 1799 AD, 1700 AD, constant wars, battles take toll on all Muslim empires. 1700 to 2025, 325 years, Islam, Muslims that is, comes under control of colonialization, colonizing powers of Europe power form. 1707, decline of the Mughal Empire. 1711, Battle of Pruth, war between Ottomans and Russia. 1713, Jahardar Shah overthrown. 1715, the Ottomans, Adriatic fortresses recaptured. 1716, defeat of the Ottomans by the Austrians, Battle of Peterwarden. 1718, Ottomans lose fortress of Belgrade and Hungary. In that same year, the Treaty of Passarowitz is done. 1719, Ottomans turn to peace instead of war, a joke in the eyes of all Muslims. 1722, Battle of Gunland, Afghans and Persians. In the same year, Persians are defeated. 1728, the Battle of Palkhid. 1735, war between Ottomans and Russia again. To continue. Now, 1736 to 1747, 17 years in total, the capture of Isfahan. 1737, entry of Austria into Russia, the Turkish War. 1735 to 1739, 4 years total, against the Ottoman Empire. 1739, Persia sacks Mughal capital. In the same year, Nadir Shah in Delhi, India, removes accumulated treasure of the Mughal Empire. 1744, Muhammad Saud joined forces with Muhammad al-Wahhab. 1752, Ahmed Durrani captures Punjab, India, Kashmir, and Sindh. 1757, Battle of Plassey, British East Company. 1761, Battle of Panipat again. 1768, 1774, 6 years in total, a war of Ottomans, Russia, and the Ottomans. The Ottomans are defeated. 1770, burning of the Ottoman fleet, Battle of Chesma. In that same year, Greek independence, Ottomans lose Chesma. 1771, the conquest of Crimean Peninsula. 1774, defeat of the Ottomans by Russia again. Ottomans cedes Crimea to Russia. 1787 to 1795, 5 years in total, 8 years in total, the Ottomans start war with Russia again. 1791, war with Muslims, the Ottomans that is, and Austria ends. Please, let's continue with the 1700s. AD, 1792 AD, Qajar, conquest of Shiraz. 1797, Russia occupies Dagestan. 1798, landing of French in the landing of French in Ottoman province. Egypt defeats Egypt. In that same year, defeat of the Ottoman Mamluks, Battle of the Pyramids. In that same year, alliance of the Ottomans, Britain, and Russia against France. In the same year, taking of portions of North India by Muslims, Battle of Amiens. 1799, Punjabs defeat the Afghans. In total, 36 wars, battles, genocides, etc. in 100 years by Muslims. Mass slaughters by Muslims against all who would not become Muslim. Let's go to the 1800s, AD. 1800 AD, 1899 AD. 1800 AD, over the course of 1,400 years, Muslims have enslaved more humans than all the Americas, Europeans, and rest of the world combined. 1800 AD again, in 1,400 years, Muslims have slaughtered and genocided 270 million to 280 million deaths, more than all non-Muslim wars over the same period combined. 1803, the Sheikh Saud assassinated. 1805, Saud Adzi captures Medina, defeating the Ottomans. In the same year, Faradzi movement in Bengal. 1806, George captures Belgrade. In the same year, limited independence for Serbia with the Ottoman Empire. 1807, Darwihi sect revolt against Turkish rule. 1811, British occupy Indonesia. In the same year, the Mamluks massacred in Cairo by Muslims. 1812, Medina falls to Egypt. 1813, Mecca and Taif captured by Egypt. 1818, end of Egypt's campaign of 7 years against the Wahhabis of Arabia. 1820 AD, Turkey destabilizing, losing control over the empire. 1821, Greek War of Independence from the Ottoman Empire. In that same year, the uprising killed several thousands or more Greeks. 1826, Mahmud II forces massacre. Mahmud II forces massacre the Janissaries, the Jains, in other words, of India. Let's continue with the 800s AD. 1827, Britain, France, Russia supporting Greece defeat the Turkish and Egyptian fleet at Battle of Navarino. 1828, Russia declares war against the Ottomans. 1830, the French occupy Algeria and ends a 313 years of Turkish rule. 1831, leaders of jihad in India fall in Balakot. 1832, the Battle of Konya. 1833, all of Syria and Adana given to Egypt. 1836, Battle of Soma, that's in Algeria. 1836, Ottomans invade Syria. In the same year, the Ottomans defeated at Battle of Nizib. Also in the same year, the Turkish fleet surrenders. 1840, British freeze Aden. 1841, Turkey, Ottoman Empire, that is, show major cracks and weaknesses in the empire. 1850, Bab and Tahiri are executed by the Persians. 1852, France demand Turkey end Russia's exclusive control of Christian holy places in the Ottoman Empire. 1853, Russia occupies parts of Turkey. In the same year, Ottomans declare war on Russia. In the same year, Britain and France declare war on Russia. Russia put Black Sea Fleet on alert. France and Britain dispatched their fleets. In the same year, Crimean War launched by the Ottomans. 1854, the British and French give support to Muslim Turkey. Why would they do that? You'd have to find out. Battle of Alma in the same year. 1855, Turkish alliance. Too exhausted to pursue conflict any further. 1856, edict forced on Ottoman Empire to avoid war with Russia. In the same year, Crimean War ends. 1857, British capture Delhi and eliminates Mongols' 332 years rule. In the same year, India Mutiny, the first war of India independence from Muslims. Surrender, in the same year, surrender of Emir Abd al-Qudir of Algeria, 67 years about so under British control. 1858, end of 1,000 years general rule over India by Muslims. In that same year, the end of Indian mutiny followed by brutal British retaliation. 1860 AD, first mosque in Britain. In the same year, Malay defeated by Spain. 1861, the rise of literacy, how to read and write, that is, of Muslims. Overthrow, in the same year, the overthrow of Bambara Empire by Togkolir Empire. 1864, Circassian genocide by Muslims, 1865. Khanate of Kokand liquidated by Russia, 1868. Russia conquest disrupts Islam as general whole, 1878. Ottomans lose Cyprus to Britain, 1881. France invades Tunisia to dispel Muslims, or expel Muslims. To continue with the 800s AD, Malacca Sultan, Malaysia that is, in Malaysia, disrupted. So in the same year, surrender of Algeria and Egypt. In the same year, French take over Bel Hassan, Tunisia. In the same year, Egypt becomes independent and overthrows the Muhammad Adi dynasty. In total, 58 subjugations, wars, invasions, overthrows, rapes and everything else, genocides, campaigns, conquests, etc. in 82 years. Let's go to the 1900s AD, which just passed about 20 or so years ago, 25 years ago. Now, 1900 AD to 1999 AD. 1901, Abd al-Adzi Ibn Zod captures Riyadh in Arabia. 1905, Salafiyya movement in Paris. 1906, Albana, founder of Muslim Brotherhood, oil, same year, oil found in Iran. 1906, 1907, Young Turks movement in Turkey. 1909, 1909, genocide against Christian Armenians by Muslims. The same year, Ottoman Empire, 30,000 to 40,000 killed. 1911, War of Tripoli, Libya taken over by Italy. 1912, Coalition of Four, Greece, Bulgaria, Serbia, Greece, coalition of four Balkan countries defeat the Ottoman Turkeys, Muslims. In that same year, the Fitz riots. Also in the same year, Albania uprising against Muslim rule launches war. Turkey sieges Libya to Italy. Albania captures Skopje, Macedonia. Second Balkan War ends. 1913, raid on the Sublime Porte. Same year, Bulgarian Christians mass murdered, genocided by young Turkish Muslims, government Muslims, 60,000 to 70,000 killed. Most villages destroyed and slaughtered and raped and everything else. Muslims have no sense of morality, none, zero. They are the lowest intelligences on the earth. 1914, 1918. 4 years, Ottoman Muslims carry out dozens of genocides against Assyrian Christians, 255,000, 275,000 human beings killed by Muslims. Turkey attacks Russian ports, again enters the war. Britain and France declare war on the Ottoman Empire. 1916, plan to dissolve the Ottoman Empire and retire its flag. In the same year, Arab revolt against Ottoman rule. 1917, the Muslims and Hindus unite against the British rule. That's a good one. 1919, the first revolution in Egypt against British occupation. 1920, Bukhara and Khiva conquered by Russia. Same year, a treaty at Sevres designed to dismember the Ottoman Empire. 1920, 1922, the Turkish War of Independence. Same year, Battle of Maysulun. 1921, Pahlavis coup in Persia, that's Iran. 1922, 600 years old Ottoman Empire ends unofficially by abolishing the Sultanate. 1923, Islam overwhelms Albania with oppression. 1924, Islam ceases to be ruling ideology in Turkey. Same year, Ottomans and the Safavid Mughal empires in decline. 1928, Turkey becomes a secular state. That means it becomes a Christian state because Secularism is a Christian principle. Also in that year, Muslim Brotherhood founded. 1929, conflict of Muslims and Jews over Wailing Wall. 1931, Islamic conference in Jerusalem to oppress and suppress the Jews. 1932 to 1941, 9 years or total, Chinese Muslims genocide. Chinese Muslims genocide and massacre Tibetans in Quigga province. 10,000 or more die. 1936, Arab revolt against the Jews met with violent repression against Arabs by the British Army. 1946, India Muslim League founded. 1947, Pakistan created. From Muslim majority area leads to India-Pakistani war. 1948, the Arab Muslim countries attacked the new Jewish state of Israel and suffered defeat. Thousands displaced. Muslim attack offensively simply because they're Jews. Only because they are attacked simply because they are Jews only. And in that same year, Pan-Arabism declined after defeats by Israel and disrupted by Israel. Same year, Muslim Pakistan, that is, attacked Hindu India. 1948, 1965, 1971, and 1999. 1949, the Second Turkestan overthrown. 1954, Algerian War of Independence from Muslims. In that same year, Muslim Brotherhood banned. 1959, oil found in Libya. 1962, Muslim World League is founded. In that same year, North Yemen civil war begins between Muslims themselves. 1963, the White Revolution leads to pro-Islamic rioting. 1965, Malcolm X is assassinated in the USA. In that same year, the Second India-Pakistani War becomes a stalemate. In that same year, Islamist witch hunt of communists. Of communists. 1967, the Six-Day War. Israel seizes control of Jerusalem, West Bank, Gaza, Sinai Peninsula, Golan Heights, after being attacked by several Muslim countries. 1968, the Jewish settlements expands in captured lands. 1971, Muslims attack Jews or Israel. 1972, Muslims take Jews hostage. Munich massacre. 1973, Yom Kippur War. 1974, Turkey invades Cyprus. 1975, Indonesia invades East Timor. In that same year, Elijah Muhammad dies in the US of A. Along in that year, Muslims slaughter Lebanon Christians. 1975 to 1991, 100,000 people die, 1 million leave. In that same year, Muslims take over the Maldives. Also in that same year, Muslims destroy Jews and Christians' most holy sites. 1977, Islamization of Pakistan. 1978, Saur Revolution. 1979, Iran, Islamic Republic, Iran Revolution. Students take control of Mosque of Mecca. 1980, Soviet Union invades Afghanistan. In that same year, Iraq invades Iran. 8 Years' War, 1980 to 1988. 1964, well, I'll say it as the last point. Israel makes Jerusalem its capital. 1991, 444 days Iranian hostage crisis. In that same year, Anwar Sadat is assassinated. 1982, Israel invades Lebanon. 1983, the Second Sudanese Civil War. Government tries to impose and force Sharia law on non-Muslims. 1988, the First Nagorno-Karabakh War. 1989, satanic verse tells truth about the Quran, the Hadiths, and about Muhammad. A fatwa, or an order to kill the author and to assassinate the author, Salman Rushdie. 1990, Iraq invades Kuwait. In that same year, South and North Yemen unite into one Yemen. 1991, coalition of United States of America forces attack Iraq. In that same year, Soviet Union collapses. Predominantly Muslim countries become independent. In that same year, Armenia expels 800,000 Muslims from occupied lands and Armenian property. Also in that year, Algerian Civil War. Islamic Party, the FIS, tries to impose Sharia law and is overthrown. 1992, Barbary Mosque destroyed. 400 years old mosque, thank goodness. 1995, holy site of the Jews, tomb of Joseph, desecrated and disrespected and destroyed by Muslims. 1996, the Taliban Muslims control of Afghanistan. 1998, United States of America embassies in Nairobi bombed by Al-Qaeda. 1999, Kargil War. Pakistan and India break out. Operation Badir. In that same year, Operation Badir. Total 92 militant excursions, overthrows, assassinations, wars, invasions by Muslims, revolts, rebellions, campaigns by Muslims, genocides against others by Muslims, captures, overruns, subjugations, conquests, political dissolutions, acquisitions, unprovoked attacks by Muslims, battles by Muslims against non-Muslims for not being Muslim or accepting Islam, etc. 1964, the word Palestine comes into existence. 1964, 270 million to 280 million killed and genocided for not accepting Islam, an Arab desert belief. And I want to thank everyone for listening and watching. Part 6, this has been part 5. Part 6 will come in a few days from now, or a day or two from now. And please share this video and subscribe. And we will catch each other on part 6. Thank you for listening and watching. Have a fine day.